hosts, Ed and Ronnie.
All right, everyone. Ed and Ronnie here with you from Red, White, and True. I'm beginning to look more prophetic all the time from a couple weeks ago when I said, had a feeling we were going to have to do some special lives.
Yes.
Because this is a big one. For those that may not know, we, being the United States of America, have bombed Iran. We had two B-2 bombers that took off earlier today from Missouri, went and dropped their bunker busters, and we are right in the midst of the initial announcement has been made by the White House, but I believe the president is going to address the nation here in about
half an hour.
So what do you know, Ronnie?
Just that. Like you said, they took off from Missouri, and I'm on Flight Tracker right now. I've been on Flight Tracker for about a half an hour. I've scanned every military and government plane in the world, and either those B-2 bombers have landed or they've turned their transponders off. I would say their transponders are probably off. I did hear 6 bunker busters, probably 2 for each site, as well as 200 Tomahawk missiles.
We know that when live information is going on, that sometimes the information isn't always 100% correct. We'll do our very best to put out what we know. We do know that all of our pilots are safe. We know that massive damage was done. And let me read here real quick. Sean Hannity on Saturday night said that President Trump gave him details on the U.S. strikes in Iran. According to the Hannity host, the U.S. used 6 bunker buster bombs, each of which weighed 15 tons in its strikes on Iran's Fordow nuclear facility. The bombs were dropped from American B-2 stealth bombers. Additionally, 30 Tomahawk missiles launched from U.S. submarines were used in the attacks on Nanets and Ahan facilities. And I'm sure I butchered those 2 names, but it doesn't really matter, seeing as how they're smoking right now.
Pretty much.
We've got a video to throw up while Ronnie is doing his due diligence back there. Let me share my screen. Obviously, when we do, last second lives, we don't have things prepared in advance because there was nothing in advance to prepare for. So we will, let me stop that and try this again. One of the things I want to make sure that we understand tonight is that prayer is needed. Don't get into the thought that everything's okay now. Iran is not going to just sit back and say, well, you bombed this. They've got They've got operatives all over the world, which means they have operatives here in the United States. So the alert level should be at the highest level possible.
And in all honesty, that is the number one thing that scares me right now is sleeper cells in the United States. The United States knows about them. The number of them, nobody knows. So everybody, please keep an eye out.
Well, I thought I had a video ready to go, and I think that it scrolled off of it, and so I actually have some more things I can read here real quick. Speaker Johnson was briefed ahead of the U.S. strikes on Iran. White House Speaker Mike Johnson was briefed on the strikes of 3 nuclear sites in Iran. A source familiar with the matter told the Fox News Digital. Johnson wrote in a post on X following the strikes that they show Trump's America First policy in action. The military operations in Iran should serve as a clear reminder to our adversaries and allies that President Trump means what he says. The president gave Iran's leader every opportunity to make a deal, but Iran refused to commit.
That's badass. I can't only saw that.
Yeah, it is.
So, a couple of days ago, Trump said that I need to stop sharing. Trump said that he would make his decision on whether to strike within the next 2 weeks. Notice he didn't say that he would make his decision in 2 weeks, which really left open any point in time between when he said it and 2 weeks following. Ronnie, do you have a thought on what his plan was there, given the 2 weeks, but just taking a few days?
You know, I in all honesty, I don't think Trump was out to deceive. I think he might have been trying to cool tensions and whatnot. The reason we struck them today, there could have been new intel. You know, they were closer to a nuclear bomb, or they have one, or something with that earthquake that happened the other day. Was it yesterday? The earthquake happened in Tehran. That kind of hints at that they were testing a nuclear weapon underground. So I'd say maybe with that, maybe some new intel, he stepped it up and came up with a decision in a few days. Because Trump kind of tells it like it is. I don't think he was trying to bluff anybody into thinking that we had 2 weeks of safety and then he was going to make his decision. I think, like you said, it was, you know, he had up to 2 weeks to make his mind up.
He gave them a lot of time to make a deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, first of all, he gave them 60 days. And on day 61, Israel bombed them. And then he gives them up to 2 more weeks. You know, a lot of people, I think, maybe were worried that Trump was getting soft on this subject. But I think it says a lot that he is a no war kind of person. He wants to give every opportunity for diplomacy to work. But there's some people you can't negotiate with. I used to always say you don't negotiate with terrorists. And that's just not true anymore, because there's been negotiations with Hamas. There's been negotiations with Iran. And so we're kind of at a point in history where you have to do what you have to do. Things aren't the same way they were when I was in the military back from 80 to 84. You know, back then you didn't negotiate with terrorists. You just dropped bombs on Gaddafi's house, and you know,
he used for free live streams like Reuters.
I don't know if he.
So things have changed, but the bottom line is you can't you can't trust Iran to do the right thing. And so, you know, we know that even if they do negotiate, you can't trust them to tell the truth. And so I've been watching TV in Israel with the two guys that I really respect a lot. And the last couple of days, they were practically begging Trump to take the step that he took tonight. I believe one of the reasons that Trump could have made the decision when he did is the way that Iran is targeting civilians in Israel. I mean, I know that couldn't have worked in Iran's favor when it come to making that decision. And we talked Thursday night on Red, White, and True about. We talked about a lot of things, but we talked about Iran bombing the hospital there in Israel, and more targets every single day. Israel has been doing things like bombing bomb manufacturing plants, missile manufacturing plants. The number of strikes per day from Iran to Israel have been going down, but it seems like their success has been going up. And I don't know what the reason for that is. Ronnie, you got any idea on that? Why? There you go. You got any idea on what the reasoning that Iran's number of missiles outgoing is down, but the success seems to be up?
I just think the Golden Dome was overwhelmed. Their missile strikes might be going down because they might be shooting them up. I'm not exactly sure, but I do know for a fact that the Golden Dome there that protects Israel, it can only do so much when they're firing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rockets. I mean, even when the United States completes their Golden Dome in 3 years or something like that, it won't be able to withstand that much.
Yeah. Report says Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu allegedly spoke after the U.S. strike. A senior White House official announced. The official also said the U.S. gave Israel a heads up before it carried out the strikes. Israel in the home front has shifted its home front command instructions to allow only essential activities for its citizens. Minister of Defense Israel Katz determined that the change would be made immediately at 3:45 a.m. local time in Israel. The changes include limits on educational activities, gatherings, and workplaces, except for the essential sectors, the IDF reported. The IDF said that the public in Israel is required to follow the home front command instructions. And I think that would probably be a given. So we've got about 15 minutes here before the president addresses the nation. Any thoughts that folks on line may have? Yeah, Mike Sisk said, I remember back a long time ago, Iran held American hostages for a long time. Excuse me. That long time was 444 days that they did that. 1979 into early 1980. How do I know that? Well, a couple reasons. I entered the military in 1980, and Reagan won the election in 1980, defeated Jimmy Carter. And on Inauguration Day, which would have been January, like the third week, I'm sure January something, 1981, the day that he was inaugurated, Iran released the hostages after 444 days. I think they were afraid of becoming a parking lot at that point in time. And so that is where we are with that.
Bernie Sanders just posted 48 minutes ago that Donald Trump's attack on Iran was unconstitutional.
Well, way to be an American patriot, Bernie Sanders. Way to be an American patriot. You know, to me, that borderlines treason. To badmouth the commander-in-chief in the midst of a major military action is, you know, he can disagree if he wants. And there's a right time for him to disagree publicly. And right now, it is not that time. Ronnie, you got thoughts on that?
Sorry, I was doing about 10 different things. I didn't get to hear what you said.
With Bernie Sanders, you know, I said that's almost treasonous in my estimation.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
and you know, today's not the right day for that.
No, it's sickening. You know. But I don't expect anything less from Bernie Sanders. You know, Donald Trump could walk outside and sneeze. Oh, it's unconstitutional. You know, all that crap. Big deal. It's Bernie Sanders. You lost. Get over it. Move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anybody gave him a platform today.
Yeah, personally, I don't care what he's got to say.
That's accurate. Oh, your mom giving me a message that Charlie is too loud. So if you'll take over here for just a second, I'll take care of the pups.
Well, while he's doing that, I guess I can pull up Flight Tracker and show everybody what's going on in planes around the world. We got 12 minutes until President addresses the nation, and I apologize for being a little scraggly and sleeveless, but if you could see, I should change my name from Mr. Beef to Crispy Bacon because I am burnt to crap today. All right, here is Flight Tracker. This is overseas right now, Saudi Arabia. We have a Stratotanker. There's a Russian plane. It's an Ilyushin, Russian Special Flight Squadron. It's kind of bothering me because it took off. It says its destination is Moscow, but it went up this way and hung a right. Looks like he's going to Iran or possibly. Like I said earlier, those other planes are not in the air. Like they've either landed or they've turned the transponders off because there's not much going on military plane-wise. All these are law enforcement helicopters for LA. A lot of these helicopters just medical helicopter, Cleveland medical helicopter. So not much else big newsworthy is going on with the Flight Tracker. I was kind of hoping to catch at least one of those B-2s, but not much. Another Russian Ilyushin, a German fighter jet in the air. So I've got it on here behind me, so I'm going to keep an eye on it for the rest of the night.
And you know, my projects have been with many Iranian Americans.
And I've got the White House .gov pulled up for the live stream. So,
well, does anybody have questions that you probably know as much as we do? Is he still breathing? I'm assuming she's talking about the Ayatollah. And to the best of my knowledge, I think probably yours as well, he was not the target
No, just the
tonight.
nuclear facilities.
I mean, this is one thing that I wish that there was video of. Is
Oh no, Bernie Sanders.
Well, it depends on if you look at him or not. If you look at him, he doesn't look like he's still alive.
No,
But
I
if you
still like his.
listen to him,
I still like his picture from Trump's first inauguration, 45, when he was sitting there with the COVID mask on and the mittens, and he was half asleep.
Yep.
That was a great picture. We do have a question here. How do you both you guys feel about what Trump did over there? I'll let you take that one first.
all right. Well, I was worried, not worried, but concerned that maybe Trump had let this go on too long, that Israel was going to feel left alone and isolated. That I was concerned. I've been in favor of doing this for a while now. Once Israel struck, I was in favor of us having their back. I was in favor of us doing what we needed to do, because nobody other than the United States could do what was taken care of today. Only country in the world. And, much the same as the feeling was at the end of World War II when we dropped the bombs in Japan, that I believe that today will end up saving a lot of lives in the long run. I don't want to compare those two events themselves, but on that part of the topic alone is I think that there will be Israeli lives saved. We don't know how far they actually were. I mean, some people say that they could have been 3 days away from dropping the bomb on Israel. And so short answer now, I was in favor. I am in favor of what took place tonight. On you, Ronnie.
Okay, so I'm blowing. Yeah, probably. I'll spend too much time in the sun this morning. So I trusted President Trump to make the right decision. I know that no matter what, he was going to choose what was best for America, even if it wasn't best for Israel. Like Ed, I was worried that he might be dragging his feet a little bit too long, but Trump made his first presidency on no new wars, and that was huge. First president, and I don't know how many years to have no new wars. Now he kind of inherited a crap show, with Ukraine and the tensions with Israel and the tensions with Taiwan and China and all that. So I trusted him to make the right call. Like I said earlier, I'm guessing he got some new intel, or that the earthquake in Tehran, kind of jolted him or whatever. Either way, I still stand behind him. We've said it many times on Red Wine Tree. There's sometimes you're just like, damn it, Trump, shut up. But he knows his stuff. He knows the game. So I stood by him, and whether he did the right thing or not, I know he wouldn't just go in there to paddle their tails. I know he went in there to do a job for a specific reason. It scares the crap out of me because of the sleeper cells. Iran's, I don't want to stand here and say America and they've got impotent threats, because their threats are quite real. So, let's just keep praying and keep your head on a swivel and see what happens. Always have a plan, be ready, that kind of thing.
Be vigilant. I mean,
absolutely.
Don't let your guard down.
After 9/11, to see something, say something was such a huge thing, but it kind of rings true. See something, say something.
Well, and here's from NYPD News. They, I think this is an X post. We're tracking the situation unfolding in Iran. Out of an abundance of caution, we're deploying additional resources to religious, cultural, and diplomatic sites across New York City and coordinating with our federal partners. We'll continue to monitor for any potential impact to New York City. And
Said it earlier.
you know, saying that, New York City is obviously a target that you would expect, but don't just think that that's the case, that it's going to be New York or Chicago, LA, or something like that. We can be a target here. We have Jewish folks that live here. We have a mosque here in town. Be on the lookout. You know, we'll keep talking until we see that the president is live, and we'll put the full screen up then, and we'll shut up and we'll listen to our commander in chief.
Sounds good to me.
Ronnie, you agree with what I say about, you know, not to make people panic, but
Yeah. There's no reason to panic. I mean, it's just like the early days of COVID. You know, everybody was freaking out. Oh my gosh, you know, we got to run to the bug out location. No, you don't. Just relax, take a breath, see what happens. You know, stay vigilant, stay ready, but you know, don't go back to your couch and prop your feet up saying, "Oh, Trump's got it." You know, it just, you know, take it easy. We're not in panic mode yet.
And I don't think we will be.
We might not. They might have done some serious damage over there. We don't know. If they did some serious damage over there and the threat from Iran and Ayatollah and all that is over with, groovy. Let's keep on moving. You know, let's keep trucking.
I mean, the best thing that we can hope for at this point is that Iran throws up the white flag and calls off the dogs on their sleeper cells.
Yeah, and they're sitting there shaking their heads going, well, we should have negotiated when we had the damn chance, but they didn't. So it is what it is.
You know, I mean, Trump has said that we know where the Ayatollah is hiding. And if we can drop a bunker buster on a nuclear site, I'm pretty sure we can drop whatever is needed to take the Ayatollah out. Now, that's never been the United States way of doing things, is assassinating political leaders that we know of. That's more of Israel's style. But, you know, if the Ayatollah literally believes that his life is in danger, we don't know what he's willing. Is he willing to say, you know, cry uncle, or is he willing to ramp it up and say to his proxies and to say to his sleeper cells, kick into gear?
Absolutely. At least the best thing about this now is we might not be caught off guard as much as we were with 9/11. Let's just say that.
Right. So. Well, as we've said a few times, we will play the president's remarks live. We'll full screen our screen, and Ronnie and I will, you know, for people that think we never shut up, we'll shut up for the president.
We'll shut up for a few minutes anyways.
Yeah, for a few minutes. And thank you for those that are here. If this is your first time, we're on Tuesday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern, Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. We have something that we're shooting towards right now. If you are here and would be willing to help us out, we need less than 10 likes or follows or whatever it is you do on Facebook to reach our goal of 100. The specific goal is set so that we can actually do our live streams on our own branded page instead of on individuals' pages. So if you would go to our Facebook page, you can get there by just searching Facebook, or you can go to edandronnie.com. There are links to all of our socials. We'd love to have you on all of them. Once we get Facebook accomplished, our goal will switch then over to YouTube, and we're going to need 100 there, I believe, as well, before we can go live on the Red, White, and True YouTube stream.
Yes.
And it is 10 o'clock. Welcome back to Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. Special edition. We've done several of these now. A little history about us. The first episode of Red, White, and True was election night 2024, November the 5th. We were on for many hours. We started early and was on until after 3 a.m. And so that started us. We weren't named Red, White, and True then, but I think before the next week was out, we took the name Red, White, and True. And we are two Christian conservatives that we try to do our best to be godlike and say and do the right things that Jesus would be proud of, and stay true to our conservative values. Ronnie is back in the background there. He's got a command center there in his house. And here we go.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that was short and sweet. It was short and sweet, but he nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, about 5 minutes is what he took to let us know that everything went as planned. Actually, he said it went much better than the plan even was. He gave thanks to the patriots that were the actual operators, as well as the military in general. Everybody knows that a major mission like this, the pilots that are dropping the bombs kind of have the headlines, but all the way back to Missouri, where they took off, those that are working on it at the Pentagon, all of the command centers all around the world that would have taken place. It's a team action. Anybody that served or knows anything about the military knows that whatever happens in the military takes a team. And I really enjoyed, Ronnie, and I want you to speak on this, the team that he had right there with him. Yes. He had the vice president, he had the secretary of state, and he had the secretary of defense all there. And, I'm sure liberals would laugh at me saying this, but to me, that would be like the fearsome foursome from way back in the Pittsburgh Steelers days when they were a dynasty. So talk for a minute about those four gentlemen and what they bring to the table.
Well, I actually brought up, he had mentioned General Dan Raisin Kane, and I was filling my drink and coming back, and Ashley had mentioned it, and Raisin Kane, really, that's an awesome name. Well, I looked it up. His name is General Dan Kane, and in typical Trump form and fashion, he called him Raisin Kane. So I thought that was pretty neat. I wanted to bring up his real name is not Raisin Kane, so Trump called him that. But just like in the parade last Saturday, having all those gentlemen there. Now the liberal media tried showing them, one of them yawned, and J.D. Vance was screwing with his kids and all that, and Hegseth was trying to talk to Trump, and Trump kind of seemed to be ignoring him. But, they were there for an awful long time. Okay, so he's going to yawn, big deal. Messing with his kids, big deal. But those four men, man, that was standing there, that gave me goosebumps and chills to know that these four men of God, because right there at the end when we love you, God, all that Joe Biden never did that. Obama never did that. Instead of Obama standing behind or an American flag, standing in front of an American flag, he had like a Muslim prayer rug and stuff like that. So if anything that I have heard so far today that kind of puts me at ease about all this is those four men that came out right there, said what they did, said why they did it, and thank God, thank the American serviceman, and I couldn't be prouder. I could not be prouder one bit.
So I've got to correct myself. I said that the fearsome foursome was from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is incorrect. I went and checked, and it was actually the LA Rams that was the Deacon. Let me look here. The Los Angeles Rams, known as the fearsome foursome. That was Lamar Lundy, Merlin Olsen, Rosie Greer, and Deacon Jones. And if you're football fans and have been since back in the 70s, they were a fearsome foursome. And, I try to own my mistakes. And anyway,
either way, I was impressed.
I was proud of those four. Think about those four sitting in the situation room.
Oh my gosh, to be a fly on the wall.
And Bill helped me out here. I'm sure that was Bill. Pittsburgh was the steel curtain, and that is my memory is back to, back to the 70s and maybe even back into the 60s to let people know how old I am, actually. I mean,
you were talking about this before, but there's a CBS News, multiple US B-2 bombers headed to Guam as Trump weighs joining Israel. That was 3 hours ago.
Yeah. I don't know that we touched on this. I know you and I talked for a second about it.
Yeah.
But it would have been a 30-hour flight, multiple refuelings, obviously, to go via Guam. The thought behind that is that they let leak that those were headed to Guam, when in fact that would be to the west if they were going to Guam. And in fact, they actually went east on a 15-hour trip from Missouri to Iran. So, all's fair in love and war, where you don't have to let the other side know exactly where we're coming from. And looking at some comments that are coming around. Again, if you have questions you'd like us to try to tackle, we're not, we wouldn't call ourselves experts in by any stretch of the imagination, but we do follow what happens in the military. We do follow what happens in the political arena. And I'm anxious in the next day, 2 days, to see the reaction of the Israelis. We read earlier where right now they're actually basically told to stay home.
Right now. Sorry about that. Had an ad pop up.
Stay home, and it's been sad to me watching the guys from Israel do their news, because I mean it's down to earth, bare bones reporting, and talking about them having to stop what they're doing and get their children and run to their bomb shelters. Right. Let me go back to that article that talked about them being Israel shifts to essential activity only following U.S. strikes. Israel has shifted its home front command instructions to allow only essential activities for its citizens after the United States strike. Defense Minister Israel Katz determined that the change would be made immediately, which was 3:45 a.m. local time in Israel. The changes include limits on educational activities, gatherings, and workplaces, except for essential sectors, the IDF said. And they also said that the public in Israel is required to follow the home front command instructions. So comment there. Democrats and liberals will be running those gums tomorrow for sure. Well, Ronnie's already mentioned Bernie Sanders has started already.
Yeah.
And
2 weeks to flatten the curve, since we were just talking about COVID.
Yep. Go ahead and take over for a second, Ronnie? I got to look for something here real quick.
Okay, I'm still looking around for stuff coming in too, trying to find, liberals will be bumping them gums for sure. I'm sure they already are. Big deal, let them. Like I said before, a million times before, Donald Trump could come up with a cure for cancer and walk into the walk out of the basement of the White House with a cure for cancer and say they're going to give it away for free, and the Democrats would find something to complain about. Big deal, let them. Who cares?
So let me ask you this. What do you think we're going to hear from them? What's going to be their take?
Well, just like Bernie Sanders. Oh, it's unconstitutional, and Donald Trump put us all at risk, and, the normal crap. It's not our war. America's not the world's police. Well, we're not the world's police, but it is our war. Think about it. Iran having a nuclear bomb, the world's leading producer of terrorism and sponsor of terrorism, having a nuclear bomb could be the worst possible idea ever. Same thing with North Korea having the bomb. What makes us more responsible to hold the bomb, sees how we've used it as opposed to Iran or North Korea. The difference between America and North Korea or Iran is we don't want to kill innocent people for fun. Because they don't believe our religion or total world takeover, whatever. I don't know. Big deal.
There you go. Look at the screen.
Right there.
The fearsome foursome.
Those four men I'd have on my side any day.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. We got some good comments in.
JT got it right there. He said if breathing oxygen is good for you, Democrats will seriously stand on the street corner and hold their breath.
Well, and
impeachment. Oh, they've already tried that. They're going to keep trying that until the day he gets out of office.
I'm sure that there'll be impeachment letters sent. That doesn't mean they will. And that comment is accurate in that we shouldn't be, because they're liable to say the craziest things ever, which is saying a lot when you talk about the liberals, but they're liable to go at any direction with the comments that they make.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've seen the liberals look like they were standing there holding their breath, pitching temper tantrums like Opie Taylor on Mayberry. If you know the references there. It'll be interesting too to see what next strikes Israel has to do. My guess is they continue to focus on the Iranian missile sites, and the one good thing about when Iran fires a missile, that basically gives Israel a hard location of where they're firing from. Sometimes it would be safe to say that would be the last strike that site will make. That's not always the case, but Ronnie, what do you think Israel's next step is?
I really truly hope that Benjamin Netanyahu kind of says thank you, and I'm sure they're going to go back in and continue just to make sure it's all taken care of. I've got this pulled up right now. I don't understand it. It's from Al Jazeera. It looks like they're showing some bomb sites and the Situation Room.
Now, where is that from?
This is Al Jazeera. It's
Okay.
a live stream from Al Jazeera.
Which is like Arabic CNN.
Yes, absolutely.
JT has a good point here. The only problem he sees is that they, being Iran, has been 2 weeks away from having nuclear weapons for how many years? He says he don't think we should be drawn into anything else unless we are attacked. We have done our part. Let Israel finish it. And
absolutely. I mean, it's been 2 weeks away for years, like you said. Absolutely. So, you asked me what I think Israel can do. Let them finish up.
Well, and the point of two weeks away, when I was in basic training, we did cadences about bombing Iran in 1980. So that makes me think. I joined in September of 80. That means October, November, December, almost 4 months. I have never, ever thought this. Almost 4 months, Jimmy Carter was my commander in chief. Wow. Never thought that in my entire life.
Here is a live stream of Israel. I'm sure this was earlier because it's dark and Israel's. What time is it? It's daylight in Israel right now. 5:22 a.m. So this was last night. So, yeah.
Seeing this up in the top left corner of that, it says Amman, Jordan. And Jordan and Syria, both are between Iran and Israel. If you look on the map. And so all of these things that are going on, they're not involved, but they're a part of the equation. I mean, they're taking out missiles and drones over their airspaces, and there's so many things that you don't think about that are involved in all of these things. The people in those two countries are seeing things happen. Those missiles, not hard to detect, even with the naked eye. When you see them on video, like we were just looking, they got to be. I mean, if we were outside in our driveway here, Ronnie, you and I and whoever, and we seen missiles headed over, let's say they were going north toward Canada. I mean, that would be a really eerie thing to think.
I can imagine.
We see them and how many ever minutes later, that's going to land somewhere in Canada.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I've seen the live streams or even videos where they've had reporters on the ground in Israel, and then all of a sudden you hear the air raid sirens, and it's real weird. Everybody hits the ground and goes completely flat prone, or they're trying to get into a bomb shelter or underground, and then the camera cuts to missiles flying overhead. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine.
Well, so that was from the outlook of being a country that the missiles were flying over. Now we go to Israel, and I always think back to that very first missile barrage that Iran sent into Israel. And, we're sitting here watching, knowing that missiles and drones are in the air headed for Israel. And so the people in Israel are knowing there are missiles and drones headed directly at us. That's got to be mean, we're talking, it was 2 or 3 hours, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
the time frame for.
It
So
is on
you have-
Israeli news already.
Yeah, they had the same live stream we did, Tex POTUS.
Yeah.
And I did that, by the way. Is that Tel Aviv?
I don't know. I can't read it for some reason, but yeah, this is their live news stream, their morning news, I'm guessing, and they're showing Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how excited the Israeli sites that I watch, actually 2 or 3 different sites. I have my one favorite, TBN Israel, but you know, they're not objective news sites. They're Israel news sites, and so they're going to tell the story from Israel's perspective. And you know, when things go well for Israel, they're happy about that. They cheer that. And so I'm anxious to see and hear what they have to say, which, by the way, I was looking back, and we will be shocked at the crazy things that they say tomorrow. The interesting thing is Israel will say nicer things about America than the liberals and the Democrats will, or at least many. Now, there are some Democrats. Fetterman is very huge supporter of Israel. And there are other Democrats that don't toe the party line when it comes to what's going on. 8 a.m. press conference in the morning, General Kane, Secretary of State Hegseth. We will probably report on that, not live. I will be getting ready to preach the Sunday sermon, and with saying that about the sermon, I haven't prayed yet. Ronnie and I prayed. I prayed on my own earlier, but I want to pray with you guys about what's going on. Father in heaven, I come to you just now, and I thank you for the courage that our president had in sending our troops, putting them in harm's way. I pray for the success. I pray that as the days go by and we find more and more about what happened, that those 3 sites will no longer be able to perform any function, but especially the functions of a nuclear facility. I thank you for the safety for all of our troops, the ones that were front and center, the ones dropping the bombs, but all the way through the entire process. So many people have a part in that, and they're all important, and we know they're important in your eyes as well, Father. We pray for our brothers and sisters in Israel. We ask that you would keep them safe. We know that Iran is more than likely going to unleash another barrage. I just pray that Israel is able to withstand that. And I pray for the safety of innocent civilians as well as the military. And Father, just now, I pray that as many people think that the signs of what's going on is biblical prophecy, and I would have to agree with that, Father, that those that hear my voice now, that don't know Jesus as their Lord and Savior, would decide that today would be the day of salvation. Father, it's not necessarily the time to preach, but we need to share that if we want to be in heaven, We have to have that personal relationship with Jesus. And I pray that those are listening have that relationship or will make that decision. We lift all of this up in the holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. Ronnie, if you would go over a little bit again about precautions, mentality of what state we should be in here
Okay.
in our local area, and kind of repeat what we talked about earlier.
Well, like I was saying earlier, the thing that's bugging me right now is the sleeper cells. If any of you listened to Sean Ryan a few weeks ago, he had a woman by the name of Sarah on, and she was explaining there are thousands of sleeper agents in the United States. If anybody gets the opportunity to read the book called Deus Irae, Day of Wrath, it's about an hour and a half read, and it scared the crap out of me. Anybody that's read it, it's about sleeper cells that were activated, and they come in teams of 3. 2 teams of 3 come together. One team attacks schools, the other team attacks highways, and just creates a logjam. And that might happen, maybe. I'm not sure. I pray every day that it doesn't. My little one goes to school, and I can't imagine being at work and something like that ever happen. But we can't be blind to it. We can't say, oh, that'll never happen. It's America. Right now, the Bartholomew County Fair is going on. Large gathering of people. Large gatherings of people like the Bartholomew County Fair is a perfect opportunity for anybody who would want to hit Bartholomew County. Now, why would they want to hit Bartholomew County or Columbus, Indiana in general? Well, Cummins, Camp Atterbury. There's several different reasons. So everybody just keep your eyes open, especially in large crowds. I wouldn't say avoid them. We're still going to go on about our day. We're still going to breathe free air. We're still Americans. We're still going to have barbecues on 4th of July, but just be aware of these things that might happen. For those of you that carry, keep on. Don't stop, but also don't freak out and there's 3 Arab guys standing there. But just keep vigilant. So, any other questions other than that? I'm a survival guy. Ed can preach the gospel, and I can preach bug out bags and survival and all that stuff.
Well, it's good to see our friend Doug Fleming is in here.
I see that.
Doug is a good man. I saw him earlier tonight. Your mom said we do have sleeper cells. Don't think we don't.
Absolutely.
We have some experience that we believe would indicate a sleeper cell. I was looking at another message. Sometimes you just run into situations and you 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2. And so we need to be vigilant. Your mom says, don't become complacent. And
no.
And here's the deal. You rightfully said large crowds and different things, but people will be in church tomorrow, and they.
This is me. Well, that was funny. Sorry about that.
Well,
technology, man, technology.
Yeah, well, when it works the way we want it to work, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But, there were a lot of people in synagogues tonight. And, you said what you did about Bartholomew County. Why would they strike here? And you said Cummins and Camp Atterbury. The main thing is they strike wherever to instill fear. And those sleeper cells aren't afraid to be martyrs, and they think they're going to get 72 virgins if they martyr themselves. I have a friend that used to say they would get 72 gay Rottweilers instead of 72 virgins.
I was trying to figure out where you're going with that.
So, but that's why they want to strike fear. And actually, it seems to me that hitting a smaller place might be a good idea from their standpoint, to put fear in everybody. Because right now, I think most Americans think if we get hit, it's going to be DC or New York City or LA or one of the major urban areas in the country. So it's kind of easy for us to let our guard down or be complacent, as your mom talked about. And to me, well, when they've struck church buildings, they've struck synagogues.
Absolutely.
And I would guess that a smaller place would be a much easier target. Law enforcement in a smaller area, NYPD puts out that they've got increased security levels. They have security levels that wouldn't be dreamed of in Bartholomew County, Indiana. We wouldn't have the manpower, the capability, the equipment, the infrastructure. And so, again, as we said quite a while back, live your life. Don't be panicked. Just be vigilant. Just be vigilant.
Going back to what my mom said, complacency is dangerous. I don't think anybody was more complacent than the United States of America was on September 11th, 2001. Everybody talks about, well, where were you? Well, I was a senior in high school. I had just come out of music theory. And, the assistant band director coming in, he says, yeah, they just flew a plane into the World Trade Center. And we sat there and watched it the rest of the day. And the world changed afterwards. But, we're right back to being separate again and red versus blue and all this. But I don't know if everybody's this complacent, especially with everything going on. But it might not happen tomorrow. But the Ayatollah and Iranians are smart. They're going to wait until it cools off and everybody goes right back to being complacent. And bam, that's when it hits. So please don't be complacent. If you work far from home, I suggest having at least a get-home bag, basic supplies, food and water, a shelter if need be, if it's far away, to get you to home. Pew, radio, whatever you need, fire starting, water purification, that kind of thing. Please don't get complacent. Don't think that this is going to go away. Iran has already said multiple times that if we struck them, or if we helped Israel, that they were going to hit our bases and possibly activate their sleeper cells. I don't think that there's no way they can hit inland United States, but there's plenty of ways their sleeper cells can.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, I've got a quote here. The United Nations chief says he is gravely alarmed by U.S. strike on Iran and calls for peace. Quote, I am gravely alarmed by the use of force by the United States against Iran today. This is a dangerous escalation in a region already on the edge and a direct threat to international peace and security. There is growing risk that this conflict could rapidly get out of control with catastrophic consequences for civilians, the region, and the world. We know that the United Nations is no friend of the United States and certainly no friend of Israel. And so you take what the head of the United Nations says with maybe 2 grains of salt. not just a grain, maybe 2 grains. But some of those points are accurate. You know, that region could blow up. I mean, who decides that they're going to start getting actively involved? I mean, Turkey is a wild card there. They hate Israel. They've got huge stake in Syria. And, you know, that's all right there. Then, of course, you still got Hezbollah up in Iran. And Israel took out one of their leaders this week again. Even though we haven't been hearing much from them, they at one point, before they decided to get stupid, they were the biggest, best funded, best equipped terrorist organization in the world. They were much better prepared for what was going to go on than Hamas was. So are all of the Iranian proxies? What about the Houthis? They have capabilities. As a matter of fact, one of the concerns was that Iran would send nuclear weapons to the Houthis in Yemen. And so, you know, the regional conflict is there. Of course, there's the China issue, the Russia issue. You know, both of those support Iran.
Donald Trump just posted on Truth Social a few minutes ago. Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. And I believe that. When Joe Biden says stuff like that, you know that was an impotent threat coming from a sleepy man who didn't write it. Somebody else wrote it for him, and he mumbled it and got half the words wrong and missed his way getting off the stage. But that man, I believe it. I believe it.
And you have to be that way.
Yeah.
You can't just bomb somebody and then just think, well, you know, when you bomb somebody, they're probably going to retaliate whatever way they can. And, you know, as you said earlier, they don't have missiles equipped to hit the United States, but, you know, they could do a coordinated sleeper cell attack at a specific time at numerous locations across the United States that would put the fear of God into us, that these are our neighbors and these are people that we know. These are the people that are in Walmart. And well, I'll just leave that alone.
I do have, I believe it's from Benjamin Netanyahu. Dear citizens of Israel, my brothers and sisters, in Operation M. Kalavi, which I'm trying to find out the meaning of, we achieved unprecedented achievements together in Israeli history. You remember that from the beginning of the operation, I promised you that Iran's nuclear facilities would be destroyed one way or another. This promise was fulfilled. Short time ago, in full coordination with me and President Trump, and in full operational coordination between the IDF and the United States military, the United States attacked Iran's 3 nuclear facilities, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. If doing so, the United States continued with greater intensity and great force the attacks of the IDF and the Mossad on Iran's nuclear program. This program threatened our very existence and also endangered the peace of the entire world. And that's what I was trying to talk about earlier. This isn't just an Israeli problem or, you know, something like that. This isn't a world. This is a world problem. Immediately after the operation was completed, President Trump called me. It was a very warm, very moving conversation. He blessed me, he blessed our army, and he blessed our people. And I congratulated him, the United States pilots, and the American people. President Trump is a strong leader of the free world. He is a great friend of Israel, a friend like no other. Let's see if I can get some more.
And so that's Netanyahu that's talking?
Netanyahu, yes. In my name and on behalf of the citizens of Israel, on behalf of the entire Jewish people, I thank him from the bottom of my heart. And I know, citizens of Israel, that I speak from the bottom of each and every one of your hearts. We stand together, we fight together, and with God's help, we win together. And as the verse says, we will ascend, for we can overcome them.
Well, and you mentioned in that, and you've mentioned it as well before, uh, the potential for World War III is greater right now than it has been at any point in time.
Oh, absolutely.
There has been lots of things go on since World War II ended. A lot of major threats. We had the Cold War where, you know, we outspent the Soviet Union, and basically, it's whoever has the most nukes wins. And so we won that. There was concern about that period of time being World War III, but with things lining up with end times prophecy, you see, when you look at China, Russia, Iran, and then you can throw in Turkey. Wow.
So this is the doomsday clock. It is created by scientists around the world and everything. This was actually in January. That every January they re-announce what time it is on the doomsday clock. 89 seconds to midnight, and when it reaches midnight, it's said that we will approach nuclear war. Now, this was done in January. Can you all imagine what the nuclear clock is right now? Or the doomsday clock, what it would be set at right now?
I can see the 10-second.
Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah. So, like I said, just please keep an eye out. Keep vigilant. Keep your loved ones safe. Anybody has any questions afterwards, please feel free to message me. I can talk survival all day, any day, no worries.
Well, I don't think that we're going to come up with a whole lot of new things right now.
No, there's not much going else on right now.
If we have something, we can put it out. A lot going on in just the regular world. We still got issues with riots and protests, violence, all kind of things that are still going on. And then there's just the normal everyday things. Well, I guess this wouldn't be considered every day. I'll say this for my good friend Doug Fleming that is watching. Go Pacers.
I wondered if that was going to get brought up.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that somebody said, oh, here you're talking about World War III and you say go Pacers. Life's going to go on.
Yes, life has to go on. It has to.
And so everything is not tied up in what happened tonight. Is it a big deal? Oh, it's a huge deal. It's as huge as anything that has gone on in decades. Huge deal. But life is going to continue on. People are going to go to work tonight. People are going to go to work tomorrow. Monday, huge amounts of people go back to work from their weekend. They're not going to cancel the NBA Finals tomorrow night. And my point is that we still remain vigilant, but we continue on. God is on our side. That doesn't mean that we can't have bad things happen to us, because bad things do happen to good people. Bad things do happen to good countries. But God is on our side. God does not want Muslim countries to dominate and rule the world, because the Bible tells us that there's one way to heaven, and it's not through Muhammad, it's not through Buddha, it's not through tree-hugging climate people. It is through Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the way. And so that's why we as a country need to make sure that we keep our eyes focused first on Jesus. We have to focus things on threats that are coming our way, but if we focus first on Jesus, then he is going to help us through the difficult times. Ronnie, what do you want to close with?
I'm just going through the planes in the world right now. We talked about the Doomsday plane on Thursday. Sorry. I agree with everything you just said, and then some. You can't survive 3 minutes without air. You can't survive 3 days without water, and you can't survive 3 days or 3 weeks without food, and you can't survive 3 months without purpose. And as a Christian and a doomsday prepper, that gives me purpose. That I can hold out, I can survive, but hey, if I don't, I know where I'm going. So, everybody please be safe. That's what I've got to say. Everybody please be safe. Like I said earlier, if you want help prepping or learning about survival, anything like that, please get with me. That is when I'm not building hiker trailers or playing drums or sitting here on Red, White, and True. That's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, Tuesday for sure. Well, Lord willing.
Unless something else happens. You might have to see my ugly mug and burnt shoulders again.
Well, that's where I was going to go. Tuesday for sure. But
Yep.
if necessary, anytime in between now and then, we'll be back. We're going to give it to you the best we know how. We're going to come at it from a Christian conservative standpoint. So, if you're liberal and on here, you're probably going to disagree with us about 99.9% of the time.
And that's fine. That's fine. Just don't get in our faces about it. This is our show, our opinion.
I know where that's coming from. Yeah, well, so
I just caught that.
You just had to open up that can of worms. So
Hey, it's my show. Don't like it, get your own.
Yeah, you know who needs to shut up? Ed and Ronnie and that Red, White, and True bullcrap. Okay, time for you to go, troll.
Right there.
yeah, that Ed and Ronnie bull crap.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes, keep praying for the military. God bless each one of you. Seriously, we love what we do, and we love the people that help us do it. So
Absolutely.
until we see you the next time, say goodnight, Ronnie.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you soon.
Go out and do the right thing.